From what I can gather on the name of this track, it's going to be a rather ominous listen, which, considering Mortemia, that is to be expected along the lines of a gothic artist, I can imagine. But Devastation Bound, a very dramatic name featuring Melissa Bonny. In my time in trying to gauge new artists within the European metal scene, favorite of mine, as many of you who follow my music-related coverage on this channel are very well aware at this point, her name has popped up in context some other collaborations and work that I've seen. And for those of you, maybe this is the first introduction and you've ever heard the name Melissa Bonny or Bonny before and have never been engaged with her talents, we're going to get to that in a second with the song Devastation Bound. But she is a Swiss singer from Switzerland, currently as part of the symphonic metal band Ad Infinitum, I've heard that name, and a former vocalist for Evenmore and Rage of Light. I love the opportunity I have with Mortemia, and maybe for some of you, that name is also unfamiliar to you. Think the Owl City of metal, for those of you who are familiarized with American music, and yes, Owl City is a very different style, but he's a one-man show. Similar to Mortemia, one-man Norwegian Gothic symphonic metal artist, and his work has been absolutely captivating in every piece I've listened to, 6 in total on this channel. 5 off of the Pandemonium sessions, and then 1 off his very recent release, and well, the newly unveiled, the COVID Aftermath sessions. That's the follow-up. He's been very impressive to listen to. Again, a lot of variance in his work. It's definitely along the metal lines, a lot of variety in sound, and in terms of taste, there's varying appreciations within the metalhead sphere and the rock scene for what people gravitate towards. And Mortemia plays around a lot with style and instrument use. He's an incredibly talented guy, and I've been very captivated by the music I've listened to. And I love on this channel to feature talents that perhaps are unfamiliar to many audiences, and in particular, I judge this by my social circle, which, granted, my playlist is so dense at this point of European artists that nobody I really know in my real life knows anybody that I ever mention half the time. But I can pretty sure with Mortemia that it's about 100% I'm the only person who listens to this guy. But again, I'm the one who comes across all the talent because I know where to find it. And Europe has a exorbitant supply. And yeah, of course, America does too. But Europe is gangbuster with talent that is yearning, I think, to be given a brighter spotlight. And maybe for some of you, that's a yearning that you've been experiencing, that you want to find artists out there that are unfamiliar to you and that you feel perhaps are elusive because you don't necessarily know their names, but there's some talent out there that you've been looking for. I hope Mortemia fits that bill. If you're a metalhead, and even more specifically a symphonic metal fan, I'm sure you'll love this guy. I've loved all 6 works I've heard previously, and I'm about to add on a 7th and get a fresh introduction. Going in, of course, I'm very familiar with Mortemia, but I'm like many of you, I'm sure, perhaps, or maybe some of you know Melissa Bonny. I don't. I'm assuming maybe for some of you that's a similar case. So there's some freshness to this work, as it's been the case with many of his pieces. I love how Mortemia, aside from many of the artists I feature on this channel, he's sort of a gateway to other talents. That's how I stumbled upon him in the beginning, was through a collaboration that he did with familiar artist to me, Blackbriar. Big fan of them, Dutch symphonic gothic metal. If you've never heard of them, then they are definitely worth you checking them out. Zora Koch, their front lady, did a cover originally of him for the Röyksopp song, What Else Is There? That's how I came to him, is through Zora. And then through that song, I've been able to gauge, at this point, with all the other songs he's done, and that I've covered on this channel, collaborations of other artists, even worldwide, thinking of Katerina Nick, she's South American, and all 4 of the other ones, I believe, are European-based. 1 Italian, I think 1 Swedish, maybe 2 Swedish. I forget where Erika Olsen is from, and then another one, Danish, with Maja Scheinin. But now we have a Swiss-based artist with Melissa Bonny. So, in this case, again, like I said, fresh introduction to her, but familiar with the Mortemia attribution. Maybe for some of you, it's fresh both ways. I hope this song is appealing for you and is as enjoyable as every experience I've had with Mortemia has been thus far. And hopefully, I'm helping you to stumble upon a group that, or an artist in particular, and other artists as well that accompany his work, that you've been yearning to hear. And that's, again, what I love about this channel. for what music coverage does. Again, music for me is a favorite art form, and I cover many entertainment ventures, perhaps for those of you who this is the first time viewing of my work, but music for me has always been the favorite art form of everything I've covered on this channel. I've wanted to bring it into a grander focus, especially artists within Europe, because there's just so many. It's a real treat to cover an artist like Mortemia and perhaps send other listeners down the path of an artist that you just happen to stumble upon, but you never knew you were looking for. But now you find yourself greatly satisfied. I'm going to go ahead and cue up the video for Devastation Bound, or the visualizer. We can watch this together. The lyrics are incorporated. Again, for those of you who are perhaps unfamiliar, this is the first introduction to my work, especially when it comes to my music-related coverage. I do try and provide every accommodation possible to suit audience members' tastes, and some of you, I'm sure, like to read the message of the piece as we go through the song in terms of the lyrics. I do, and so I usually tend to provide that for you. It's superimposed into the video. It tracks along with the piece. In this case, I don't have to. Mortemia did the heavy work for me. And it's, you know, kind of fun to make it. It takes extra time. I appreciate the generosity because it does save me time in the editing stage, but I do like to provide that for you. In this case, everything is offered in full with the video. So without further ado, let's experience, perhaps for you, a first time listen to Mortemia, but for both of us, Melissa Bonny. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Oh. Good mood. Now it feels like an orchestra performance. See, this is why I love that symphonic metal. That's a good arrangement. I love he's just able to sneak in some minor sound effects. It's just so beautiful. Like, this whole intro is probably one of my favorites from him. Beautifully paced. Oh, okay. Key bell, or yeah, key medley that shifts around. Not what I expected. Interesting chorus idea. Okay, transitions actually right back into a song pretty well. It's a good feed. And her voice is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Encompassing of the space of what is will be constituted by the song. I think it fits very well. This incremental build, though, with the instruments, I just absolutely love it. It's one, again, my favorite introductions from him. I love his snarl. Just so great with the scream. That's a woebegone, or woebegone. I missed the pronunciation of the word. It's not the term I hear that often, if ever. That's been something else with European music. There's quite a range of vocabulary that we don't often use in America. Blackbriar's the case of this. But now Mortemia, apparently. Arcane Afterlife. That's an interesting line. Oh, that vocalization is just beautiful. So picturesque. I love it. Really talented guy. Ah, those shifts. Really, it's just, this arrangement is really incredible to listen to. Again, one-man guy. I was wondering how long this is going to go for, but this is a really good conclusion. Let the piano and the vocals be the outro. That's so... Oh, I love it. That is, in my opinion, and I absolutely love every track I've covered thus far from Mortemia, that is the most, and I appreciate this, it's the most liberal in the range of the characterization of how the track is structured. Those introductions for me, the piano balanced with the background vocals, I truly felt like I was in an operatic symphony. And that's right along the lines of what I love with symphonic metal. Again, so much character to this music. But that arrangement, the shifts in the key during the chorus, I didn't expect that. And I did wonder at first, I'm like, part of my mind's like, okay, let's see if it grows on me. And it did. The way, those transitional phrases or measures right back into the interludes between the different verses works so well. It just has such a natural flow. Melissa Bonny's voice, which really, like I said, it's a good range for the piece. You feel like it's... If this were a live performance, it would hit every corner of the room. It's so fittingly expansive of what you'd expect of the merits of the track. This really, like I said, I think is, again, it's got a greater range in comparison to some of his other work. And again, I'm not trying to speak disparagingly at all to other tunes, all of which, like I've said, I can't give enough praise to. I've been absolutely a big fan of his work. But this has a lot of experiments, I would say, in terms of how it's structured. And I think it works so sufficiently well. Really is such a captivating piece. I think one of my favorites. It's definitely going to be a repeat listen, I'm sure, as all his work has been at this point. And going forward, I will definitely try and give a lens to, on this channel, to ad infinitum, or more specifically, I guess, Melissa Bonny. That's something that, like I've said, I've also tried to do with Mortemia's work, is to use his videos. And I explained this before in the introduction as well, leading into the song. I like the fact that his videos serve as a gateway to other artists. My intention is to take, going from Mortemia, is to expand the library of what I cover on this channel and to find other groups. And I have at this point. Let's say, for example, in the case of Linda Toni Gran, I've covered, she was the collaborative artist for Forever and Beyond. At this point, I've covered some of her other work through her previous time with Fall of a Cipher. And the new group she's a part of, Anima Vale, I have that, hopefully, maybe tonight. Maybe I'll cover that tonight. We'll see. If there's, maybe I'll, well, it'll be coming out soon. I have to cover that piece. But I've taken the time to expand, again, coverage outside of from Mortemia collaborations, saying, okay, here's an artist that's coming on that is unfamiliar to me. Take that song into consideration. Look for where the artists are otherwise, expressing their work. Maybe it's through solo gigs, maybe it's through another group. And then, being able to feature that on this channel as well. So perhaps for those of you who are looking for a greater range of music, or perhaps you have your own ideas of expanding your library, specifically with different countries worldwide, maybe, like myself, Europe. I hope to, again, provide that route for you to discover talent that you might not otherwise have found. And for me, it's a very similar experience. I'm discovering new talent as I embark on this journey with you. Like I did with Melissa Bonny in this video. Ad infinitum, I will keep that group in mind. I've heard that name, as I said, and I know Melissa Bonny has appeared in other collaborations from artists that I listen to. I can't think of what groups right now off the top of my head, but I have seen her name pop up. And her voice is, like every artist I've heard at this point, with collaborating with Mortemia and many of the female singers in the European scene, is quite impressive. Again, there really is an artist on this point I haven't stumbled upon that I haven't loved. Europe has more than succeeded. And Mortemia, it's a pleasure as always. And the song itself, like I said, it's very well arranged. The lyrics too, I love the way this is phrased at the end, the arcane afterlife. That line is so interesting. What was that word he said in the second verse? Just make sure I get the term right. Let me see. Woo be gone. That's the correct pronunciation. It's funny, like I said, how European music seems to express a greater vocabulary than what I hear in America. Maybe it's probably because, well, maybe some, in America or in Europe could relate, but I don't know. I think, personally, America has gotten a bit stifled in our linguistic capabilities. We tend to resort more, I think, to emojis and texting language, so some of these unfamiliar terms are hardly spoken. Woebegone? I've never heard that one before. It's a lot like I said, Blackbriar. Their album, The Cause of Shipwreck. Again, Blackbriar being a favorite, and I highly recommend them if you've never heard them before. What was the song? I think it was the beginning. Confess. That's the first track off that one. I think she was using lines like, dirty lies come from your garrulous tongue. Like, I've never heard garrulous or you filthy nymphomaniac. Like, where are all these terms? Like, I've never heard them before. Or, weakness and lust. Oh, that song is so good. What was it? Like, with my concupiscence of the flesh, I will obstruct the venereal act. Like, again, these phrases, we just don't talk that way in America. And I'm listening to this music going, there's just so much dimension here that, I don't know, again, like I said, we have plenty of talented artists here, many of which, again, I featured in this channel, and I will continue to do so in the future, right? There's talented artists, as Mortemia has proven, worldwide at this point. But I do see a special quality with European work where I'm just always amazed and captivated. And I want to talk about it more and dive deeper. And with Devastation Bound, again, like all of Mortemia's previous entries, that's the intention, right? I've gauged an artist I'm very familiar with a beautiful work. And now going forward, I have another artist to look at in the future, Melissa Bonny. Great presence to the track. And I'm sure that's the same case with Ad Infinitum. Again, I've heard that name. Don't be surprised if they pop up at some point on this channel. I don't know when, but again, that's my intention with Mortemia is to have those pathways forged to find new unfamiliar artists to me, at least at present, and then to gauge them later. What are your guys' thoughts, though, of Devastation Bound? Was this the first introduction for you to Mortemia's work, and perhaps Melissa Bonny? Whatever circumstance you come from, maybe you're familiar with one or both of the artists. I'd love to hear your angle down below, as well as your thoughts on Devastation Bound as a piece. And if maybe this compels you to expand your European library as well. Like I said, my phone is quickly running out of space, but the number of songs and artists I keep having to bring on and purchase, because I'm like, there's just, again, so much art in that realm of the world I'm very happy with. And Mortemia has been satisfactory every time, and continues to be. Devastation Bound, not an exception at all. It's a beautiful piece. Quite fits my expectations on every level. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.